Well, I continued chasing public speaking and eventually joined Toastmasters. Started taking courses in public speaking, started reading a bunch of books about public speaking, and wound up eventually on the world stage. This morning, we're going to go over 3 keys that made the difference between the Fergie the Frog experiences and making it to where people actually, I think, enjoyed my speeches. Now, this is going to be an interactive session. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And we're going to start with this question. What makes an idea great? Think about that. Yes?
Stories.
Stories. Okay. That is very good. Stories make an idea great. What is something that causes an idea great? Somebody else. I don't know if online can hear me or not, if they can. Yes.
Personal experience.
Personal experience. Yes. I'm going to call that experience. Hopefully I can fit this all on this easel here. Yes.
Uniqueness.
Uniqueness. Yes. Uniqueness. A person named
Good enough.
okay, good enough, yes. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm going to go the other way and say something that's universal.
Universal. That's a big one. Let's saw one more. Yes.
Relevant to the audience.
Relevance. Yes.
Just relevant is shorter.
And Flash, you had one?
I was going to say beneficial for the audience.
Yes. Beneficial. I'm going to put this down here. Beneficial. There's a screenwriter named John Truby that says that a great movie is one that will change your life. Ideas that change your life are great ideas. Beneficial. Ideas that are great are beneficial to your audience. Unique. Ideas that are unique are great ideas. These are all excellent descriptions of great ideas. And a great idea is one, it's like a root to a tree. It's one from which your talk will grow. Your talk grows from great ideas. Where do you learn these life lessons, these great ideas? Where do you learn them?
Personal experience.
Absolutely. Personal experience. Anywhere else?
Part of personal experience, but through hardship.
Yes, through hardship. Dale Carnegie said that you earn the right to speak about a topic through education or experience. Those are the places where you get these topics, educational experience. I was talking with one of the world champions a while back, and he said that a great place to get your talks is from your firsts, your flaws, your frustrations, and your failures. Those are all unique to you. We talked about uniqueness. The lessons you learn from those are those that will benefit others. Beneficial, relevant. Those are places where you get great topics. Great topics grow great talks. Great topics grow great talks. Once you've come up with your great topic, if you just leave it there, it won't get across to your audience. There's another thing you have to do, and it's this next step, and that is clarify. We're going to talk about clarifying your idea here. Might be a little tricky. I'm going to try to show this on screen. Clarification is key is huge. And I think it's a secret really that writers, speakers use to make their message pop. Clarification helps your message to connect with your audience. I'm going to show you a before and after of the speech that got me to the World Championship. I'll show you a couple minutes of this. Here's the moment. Flash, this was actually at your club. We show the first minute or two. I need to do my volume. Let me try the volume.
You can turn the volume on the TV itself.
Mute on.
I do. When you were a kid, did your parents ever ask you to go to a play or a camp that you didn't want to go to? Mine did. 1976, summer. I was at a sports camp I didn't want to be at. Didn't want to be there because I was shy. I was afraid I'd bomb in front of the kids. By day 3, I shot bricks in basketball, I struck out in baseball, and I had shanked the golf ball to the lowest driving distance out of the group. The day was mercifully coming to an end when the camp counselor said, "All right, boys, tomorrow."
Sorry, is that echo part of the recording?
Oh, that is coming, I think, from my computer. Well, can you hear that? In its original form, okay? Here, a finished form version.
Summer, 1976. I was 10 years old, shy, in sports camp, and afraid I'd bomb in front of everybody. Madam Contest Chair and friends, by day 3, I'd bombed in baseball, basketball, and golf. The coach ended the day saying, "Boys, tomorrow, it's swim day."
Okay, you see how much tighter the finished version is than the original. We went through a process of clarification. We're going to practice a little bit of that right here. Right, again, eyes on the screen. Clarification, clarity. Everybody in Toastmasters, I think, knows the 3 major pieces to a speech. What are the 3 major sections of a speech?
Opening
Yeah, I think I just started it there. Opening, body, conclusion, introduction, body, conclusion, yes. What do you think is the portion of the speech that you work on first when you're writing the speech?
Conclusion.
The body.
The body of the speech. If you think about it, in the opening, you introduce your topic, right? In the body, you expand on that topic. And in the closing, you go back over the topic. To tell the audience what your topic is in the opening, you have to know what it is. So you figure that out in the body. Figure out the body, then go to the opening and the conclusion. someone said that in the opening, you tell the audience what you're going to tell them. In the body, you tell them. And in the conclusion, you tell them what you told them. Opening, body, conclusion. I was sitting outside of our kitchen in an adjoining room preparing for this talk. My wife was in the kitchen and she was rummaging through the refrigerator. The room I was in had a TV going. She had the radio going. And as she's going through the refrigerator looking for ingredients, there was a lot of clutter, a lot of noise. I wanted to rehearse one of the lines from this speech with my wife. I said, Teresa, I want to say a hypothetical line to you. I heard her say, I don't care, honey. I thought, what do you mean you don't care? And I said to her, what do you mean you don't care? She says, huh? And I said, I told you I was going to give you a hypothetical statement from the speech, and you said, you don't care, honey. She says, Darryl, I said, are all the carrots gone? So because of all the noise, all the fluff, it prevented our message from getting across clearly. Let's talk about the elimination of fluff in your speech. Here's an example sentence. Without further ado, I say to you that Toastmasters are a really cool group of ladies and gentlemen. If I was going to eliminate fluff in this sentence, I would just say, Toastmasters are a really cool group of ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this next one is for you to answer. First and foremost, let me say you are awesome. How would we reduce that sentence to its core?
You're awesome. You're awesome.
That was awesome.
There you go.
Okay, let's go with the next one. My wife was in the kitchen looking for ingredients for a pasta dish, and I was sitting in the living room. I said to my wife, Teresa, I'm going to say a hypothetical statement to you. Is there some way that I could tighten this paragraph up? Any ideas?
Yeah, looking for ingredients for a pasta dish. We don't need to know that.
I
Well,
agree.
well, what's relevant to this story, because it is, because she thought you were looking for her, she's looking.
That is, yes, that is a key statement. This is kind of a trick question because it depends on what you want to emphasize for your audience. What do you want your audience to see in their minds? Whatever that is, that's what you leave in. Anything extra, you take out. So I could say, my wife was in the kitchen looking for ingredients for a pasta dish. I said to my wife, or excuse me, I said, Teresa, I'm going to say a hypothetical statement to you. When I say my wife was in the kitchen, and then later say Teresa, the audience assumes I'm talking to my wife. I say my wife was in the kitchen looking for ingredients for a pasta dish. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't take away from the story if I take out and I was sitting in the living room. Unless for some reason I want to paint that picture more fully to you. So this is the process of eliminating the fluff from your speech and making it tighter. In addition to eliminating fluff, you want to simplify your words as well. A speech is different than a book. It's different than a recording because the viewer can't rewind. They're trying to understand you as you go. So you want your message to be really easy to understand. You want them to be able to mentally process it just like that as you go. So here's some words that we could use other words for. Ascertain. Instead of using that, I could say find out. Abbreviate. Any ideas on how we could, on another word we could shorten? Yes. We want to shorten things. And another thing, abbreviate is abbreviate. That's 4 syllables. Shortens 2 syllables. Shortens is just a much better word than abbreviate. Evacuate. What about evacuate?
Leave.
Absolutely. Residual.
Left over.
Yes.
That's left.
You guys are killing it. All right. Let's go to the simplification of phrases. In order to. Yes. At that point in time.
Then.
Yes. Knocking the ball out of the park. For the purpose of.
Because.
Can be because. Yes. Could be for. Either one.
To.
In the vicinity of.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So when you're putting your speech together, after you've written that initial version, go back through and clarify. Go back through and make sure you have that opening body conclusion. Make sure to eliminate the fluff. Make sure to simplify the words. That way that speech is going to be one that can connect more easily with your audience. Clarify to connect. Clarify to connect. 10:52, 10:53. We have 7 minutes. All right. The last thing we'll go over, all that we've talked about so far can help you to put together a nice speech. This next ingredient is essential to make it a unique speech. Talk about uniqueness here. To give it the spice. That is, you add you into the speech. Your style, your sense of humor, your stories. Your stories. We talked about stories here. Someone mentioned stories. Your stories are different than anybody else's stories. Nobody can tell your stories. So when you tell your stories, they're unique. When you use your style, like I love Flash's style, look, Flash. When you use your style, it stands out. It shows who you are. Makes your talk unique. Let's talk about stories. You've likely heard in Toastmasters that using stories is important to giving speeches, right? Question, will any type of story do? Okay. There are 3 essential ingredients to a good story. If I tell a story and I say, this morning, I woke up, got cleaned up and dressed, and drove here to the hotel to spend time with my fellow Toastmasters. That's kind of a story, right? But it's kind of bland. Yes. You spiced it up. Well, before going to that, that story included a main character, which is essential to a story. That's one of the ingredients, main character, the protagonist. It included a goal. My goal was to get to the hotel and spend time with the Toastmasters. That's a second key ingredient. The third, to make the story grab your audience's attention, is what's called conflict. And the conflict is introduced by an antagonist. So, for example, if I said I woke up this morning, got dressed and showered, started driving to Toastmasters, and then a neighbor jumped in front of the car, so I couldn't go forward. And he had a hammer in his hand, and he starts beating on the hood of my car. Then all of a sudden, you want to know what happened, right? So conflict is key to a story. And the conflict can be external, like that neighbor, or if I told the story about Fergie the Frog and then later speaking and wanting to entertain the audience. That conflict is, what was holding me back was the skill gap. So that's more of an internal conflict, something that was within me. That's what I mean by internal. So your conflict can be external, internal, or both. Probably the best talks are going to have both. The 3 essential ingredients in summary: main character, goal, and conflict. Those will make your talk grab your audience's attention. We have 3 minutes and some change. Real quick, any questions? Dave?
A lot of times when you hear somebody telling a story, some of the most compelling parts is where you start to introduce things that make you feel connected.
Yes.
So how do you determine whether something is just fluff or whether it's integral to the story? Like, I was at home and my mom was baking a pie. You could just smell the apples baking, and you know, how do you determine where to draw the line on that?
Okay, great question. We talked at the beginning about coming up with your great topic. Once you've come up with your topic, everything in your talk needs to be in service to bringing that topic home to your audience. Anything else you can cut out. So that topic is the key. That topic is I described it as the central root, like a central root to a tree from which everything else grows. Everything else has to be related. We talked about coming up with your points and the body of your speech. So the points and the body of your speech are going to support your topic, right? In each point, there will be a central point you're trying to get across to your audience, trying to prove. And again, for that point, everything you say needs to be in service to or helping prove that point or get that point across to your audience. Anything else can be cut out. All right, in conclusion, yes.
On Sunday mornings, I listen to a man speak, pastor, and it's always, what is the so what, the story? So you can go ahead and give the presentation, but like you said, the most important part is close, and we wait anxiously for the so what.
Yes.
And that draws everybody in.
Mm-hmm. It needs to be relevant to your audience. The talks that grab the audience's attention more than anything else are personal talks that the speaker gives, where that speaker is getting across a life lesson that is relevant to the whole audience. You'll see that a lot with the people that do the World Championship speeches, things like that. It'll be a life lesson that they've learned. The reason a personal talk is more riveting is because if I'm telling you about me and something that broke my heart, like Fergie the Frog, when I'm right here in front of you, we're connecting. You're feeling that speaker up front. A personal story. Yes.
Did Fergie, was that really a name or did you add that there?
See, now you want me to give away. Okay.
Tell us the story.
Okay. Before we get to that, let me say this. Okay. It's been over 50 years since Fergie left me. I don't feel the pain anymore, but I remember the lessons I've learned from that event. One, know what you're doing so that while you're doing it, your audience isn't thinking only of leaving. Know what you're doing. And two, thinking about Fergie reminds me of the passage of time because, again, it's been over 50 years, and I think, man, that's a long time. But that's 50 years of life. And your time is your life, right? So as a speaker, you have a double responsibility. When you're up speaking, you want to use your time, your life, and your audience's life wisely. Don't Fergie the Frog them. Make sure you come up with great topics, that you clarify them, and that you add that spice yourself. And if you do that, then you'll come up with talks that can change your audience's lives and your life for the better. Okay, now to the question. Fergie the Frog. Did I add the name later? In all candidness, yes, I added the name Fergie later. The whole story, that actually happened. It did break my heart. That's the first time I've ever felt heartache. I still remember it as a 4-year-old, this frog leaving me. But again, looking back, it taught me a good lesson. That is it. I think my session was just 30 minutes, so I think we're done. It's actually 11:01. And yes.
I just want to say that you valued our time well, and I feel like this was time well spent.
Awesome. Thank you.